Okay, we have a very special guest joining us.
Yes, we do.
Renee Elise Goldsberry is known for her groundbreaking role as Angelica Schuyler that won her a 2016 Tony Award for Best Featured Actress in a Musical. She's honestly a Broadway legend.
I mean, iconic.
Which, speaking of Hamilton, the musical, it's coming to your homes via Disney Plus with the original cast July 3rd. What a way to kick off July 4th long weekend. And here's a clip of the trailer. Now with us on the show, Renee Elise Goldsberry. Welcome.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, Renee, honestly, I am obsessed with you. Like I told you before we were recording, this is such a moment for us. We always like to check in before we get started with our interviews, especially more than ever now. How have you been keeping up? How are you doing?
I'm doing well, all things considered. I think that's the answer. New things keep coming up, on top of, the COVID-19 situation. And we just rally, we get in and we fight really hard for it. And then you keep remembering, oh yeah, we got to put a mask on. I think that's the thing. We're like, super excited, because we can finally scream Black Lives Matter with more people than just Black people, like hallelujah. And then we're like, oh yeah, we have to protect ourselves. And it's the same thing with Pride. It's like, finally, let's all join in together and do this. And then it's like, oh yeah, we have to put our mask on. I think juxtaposed to these huge things, we're constantly remembering how important it was to ever cry those things in the first place.
It's powerful. Yeah. And you have kids. Do you bring your kids to these or like involve them in these protests? And it's something that me and Ryan talk about, how like let kids be kids, but this is real and this is happening.
Well, I say that specifically for kids of color. So Black kids, little Black and, brown kids, boy or girls. For me, it feels like I don't want to bring them into that situation because this is already a triggering situation for many Black people. This isn't something that we are celebrating. We are literally pleading for our lives. And for little Black boys and little Black girls, they don't need to be taught that they have to be so strong at such a young age. And that's automatically what we're taught.
Well, the issue, I think it depends on the age and where you bring them. There are all kinds of protests, and it's the only way that we bring change, and it's for them. And I think for me, the choice to bring my kids was I didn't want them to be afraid, and I didn't want them to forget that this is what we do, and this is our responsibility. And I also didn't want them to be told what it looked like by the images they were being shown on television. We're from Harlem, and there are family marches. There are people that are just walking down the street, say her name, singing, celebrating, coming together in ways that are safe. And I wanted my children to have some ownership in that.
Yeah, I agree. I would love to know, and if you're just now joining us, we're talking to Renee Elise Goldsberry from Hamilton, Altered Carbon, Waves. I would love to know, this moment and this cultural shift that's happening across our country has really brought up these conversations about race, microaggressions, not just from people experiencing it in their everyday life, but I feel like, people in industries are feeling empowered to speak, right? I would love to know.
Pressure.
And pressure. And I would love to even know your own personal experiences, because someone like you who is a Black woman on Broadway and even now getting into Hollywood where you are doing some incredible acting, there has had to been moments where you felt this way. And how have you been navigating that space to feel heard?
Oh, gosh. It grows, the feeling of kind of being marginalized. You kind of think, I know what it's going to be because I'm a woman and I'm Black. And then you start getting older and you realize, oh, this gets deeper here, So these are battles that don't go away. And the value of sharing the experience, it makes you feel less alone. I'm not the only one that felt frustrated or marginalized or alone on a job. And I love the fact that, producers, companies are starting to realize that, bottom line is affected by inclusion, by the choices that I make, even ones that people aren't aware of. I can't just put people on the front of the screen and say boxes checked. Now we're saying, we got to see America all over here, and I think, people are excited about having conversations to try to get it right. I think people are excited about that. And I'm glad that companies, I'm glad there's a little pressure on these companies. It's always been about money, you know. It's always been about the bottom line. I'm glad that they have some responsibility to the people that buy their products or you know, who wear, you know, their name on their shirts. That's the only way there's ever going to be change.
Yeah, we'd love to see it being more about humanity, but maybe who, in our lifetime at least. But I feel like being part of a project like Hamilton from the beginning, it was probably a shift for you because it seems like, you know, it's such an inclusive cast and it was so groundbreaking. Was that a shift for you to jump into that project after being in, you know, on Broadway for so many years and maybe being put into roles or into spaces that didn't feel like you could fully be yourself or embrace that side of you?
I've been pretty fortunate. I've had a career of playing some really great roles before Hamilton. So, and you know, with really diverse groups of people, we didn't invent that. So we just benefited from the fact that, you know, it had happened before us. So yeah, I got to be a part of Rent on Broadway, and
Yes, that was my favorite.
You know, we credit Jonathan Larson and the director and the producer, actually Jeffrey Seller is one of the producers of Rent also, you know, from Hamilton. So we had great shoulders to stand on when we were standing together, telling stories with the music of today about the issues that are happening right now today, like exposing people to what, you know, who we are in this community and what it looks like and how it feels and how much of you is in our stories. I mean, that's what we were doing in Rent. So it felt, in that way, it felt like coming home.
Well, that's rare. That is rare because I realized that you're like, Rent is the one other musical I would reference.
Well, I mean, you've been in The Lion King and all these things, but I also feel like it has something to do with, you know, the higher ups, right? Casting these execs, you know, how are we supposed to, and do you think that conversation is being had about kind of dismantling this system? Because that's really what, when we're talking about gatekeeping, do you feel open that you will continue to be able to play any type of role and not just be like, oh, well, she's a Black girl, so she can't play that role?
I wish I could say yes. I wish I could say yes. I don't know. I mean, I think the only shot I have to be able to continue to tell the stories that I think need to be heard is if I figure out how to tell them. That's the truth. I have to figure out how to get to the other side of the table. I've been very fortunate being able to show up and get cast and you know, and fulfill somebody else's vision. But, you know, that's their vision. And how am I going to tell the story about this group of Black girls that no one ever heard of in a period piece that might cost a lot of money and who knows who's going to watch it? I don't know. The only way that's going to happen is if I take advantage of this moment when people really want to tell these stories, and pitch really, really hard and push really, really hard and try really hard and pray that people won't start focusing on something else. I'm praying that we don't get distracted and we keep doing this work.
Yes.
So we're going to see some projects from you, I hear. That's like a little tease of what's to come.
Oh my God, from your lips to God's ears.
Yes, it's possible. I believe it. Let's go to Hamilton because it's so amazing that now it's going to be available on Disney Plus. So many people who didn't get to see the Broadway show. How important is it for people to see this musical, especially right now?
We need to remember who we are. We need to remember what it was like when we could crowd into little teeny dark spaces with total strangers and let people spit on us from the stage. You know, we need to remember that because that's what we're working to get back to when we're, you know, kind of trying to be responsible in our houses. Yeah. Most importantly, we're asking a lot of questions right now in this country about, you know, who matters. You know, it seems absurd to have this conversation, but clearly it needs to be had. And why are we in this situation where we're having this conversation? And you know, why does my Black son have a predator in this world? Do you know what I mean? When we were asking these kinds of questions, we really need to go to our history, and Hamilton is a gateway to that. You know, the hope is that you see yourself in this history and you recognize that your voice matters when it comes to finishing the work that was started. The 4 forefathers and the foremothers started some work talking about, you know, who is a citizen and who deserves kind of, you know, whose inalienable rights matter. We need to broaden that, even though it seems obvious. And who's the person that's going to help us figure it out? You know, that's going to need to be a room that's extremely inclusive. So that's why it's important right now. And it's important to be able to look at art and see a true reflection of who we are at our best. It's important to realize how much the founding fathers and mothers had in common with the people that are on the street right now. We need to remember that. I mean, everybody, not only the people on the street, but the people that are in their houses like, like afraid because they're tearing down statues. We need to remember that it's the same fight, the same fight. Freedom is the same fight. It doesn't matter whose mouth it's coming out of, in what language, it doesn't matter. It's the same fight.
Renee.
Oh my God.
Elise
Am I going to
Goldsberry.
cry on this? If this interview was longer, I would have cried at least once.
Yes, for sure. At least like 7. Which means you'll have to come back because we have to wrap up with you, but you have to come back for a longer Let's Go There conversation. Because this is what we're doing.
Yeah, we typically have like really, beautiful long conversation, but you're so amazing, and thank you for your time. And I know it's hard for Broadway right now. I know that's really hard for you know, you're probably seeing yourself and your friends and family.
Yeah, that makes me want to cry, girl. That makes me want to cry. It's hard, you know. It's hard for the world, you know, in the greater artistic perspective, but it's hard for a lot of my friends that, you know, that need to work. You know what I mean? And here's the truth. We are working. You're working. We're working. This is work right now. Yeah, we are working. Yeah. Okay. But we're not getting paid. Okay. Yeah. And so yeah, artists never stop. We never, you know, people that, you know, when we're on a vision quest, which we all are, we never stop. But it does break my heart that that all of the systems that we had in place to celebrate ourselves artistically, that actually supported people's families, has to be shut down right now. It does have to be shut down right now. Everybody needs to be protected, but it does still break my heart.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Seriously, you have been a light. Everyone check out Hamilton, which I will be on July 3rd. It's going to be a moment. Very, very excited. And yeah, we'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Thank you for your time.
Bye.
Appreciate it.
I love you so much.
Love you.
Iconic.
Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell for all notifications from radio.com. While you're at it, why don't you check out some of our other great videos.